Hey everybody, it is Eric and it is Nick. We are back from the Rust Belt Grand Prix at Gingerman Raceway in South Haven, Michigan. And for the first time in a long time, we were not completely soaked or frozen or windburned from the usually remarkably Michigan weather we get there. If we've had a dry race at Gingerman since 2010, I don't remember it, so normally it takes days to shake off the weather, not so much this time.
Now this race was also on Father's Day, and it wouldn't be Father's Day without sunburn, bruised egos, angry dads trying to fix something unsuccessfully, and a lot of swearing. One team went above and beyond for this. We're going to cover them later. But first, there was this father-son duo on Team Fiery Death. They spent all night Saturday trying to fix their BMW's transmission. Now, if your relationship with your father can survive an overnight BMW transmission rebuild, you're going to be good to go for life.
Now, father-son bonding is all well and good, but we've learned over the years that there's probably no greater bond than a severely depreciated luxury car and lemons. So let us talk about the Viper-powered Rolls Royce of Pacific Motors. The short version of this story is that there is a guy named Darko who runs an exotic car salvage place in the middle of Detroit, and he took two pieces of exotic machinery, a 1977 Rolls Royce and a Dodge Viper V10, and put them together several years ago. Now, $500 my ass, but there's this kind of loophole wherein you take the most ridiculous idea possible, throw them together, and out comes the most amazing thing, like this Rolls Royce. And now, it has an 8-speed ZF transmission out of an honest-to-God Hellcat.
Now, Darko wasn't the only guy driving in luxury in his Rolls Royce. There was Team Cheap Thrills in a Cadillac XLR. This is a car that has run in Class C and finally graduated to Class B. And the XLR in general is basically a C5 Corvette, but instead of the Corvette's LS engine, it has a Cadillac Northstar, which makes it better.
Yes, well!
Combined and adjusted for inflation, the XLR and Rolls Royce sold for probably $500,000. Today, $500 or less. Maybe much less.
Rolls-Royce, Cadillac XLR, now that's a dynamic pair of cars, and we had yet another dynamic pair tied together by their collective love of the Need for Speed, which is apparently a video game that the youths used to like. Now, the Not The Real Professionals BMW and SMS Racing's Lincoln LS showed up to the party wearing the same outfit. That's embarrassing. The BMW was fine, modeled after the BMW from one of the games, and the Lincoln was stealing our hearts. First of all, it's a Lincoln LS, and this team of Rochester Institute of Technology grads really leaned into what Ford was trying unsuccessfully to accomplish in making the Lincoln LS a European-style sedan. And second, how do you top the phrase, live, laugh, Lincoln?
We had a great crew of judges at this race, Shelley, Randy, and Mental, and they had a great roster of penalties, including classics like the Bob Ross, Story Time, the Make the Judges Laugh Challenge, and the exceptional Analog Roomba penalty, where the driver got blindfolded and directed by his teammates on how to clean up a mess.
Yeah, the bribes were pretty good too. Darko's bribe for the Rolls Royce, I now have a star named after me. Neat. The HP Tuner guys showed up with their sweet Firebird, and like all performance pony cars, they spent most of the weekend in the penalty box, getting their legs tied together by Shelley and being forced to walk around the paddock as a team-building exercise.
We apologize, we suck! We caused yellow flags! We're sorry! I'm out of breath.
And that wasn't the only prototypical Midwestern American car at this event. We had the number 90 Lemons Ice Mustang. They keep improving their Vanilla Ice / Cool as Ice theme. They had some excellent pants for this one. And then we had another Camaro, Team Ascot. They had actually started with another car that they had bought. There was a previously raced Fiero. It turned out that the team captain didn't fit in it, so they bought another previously raced Lemons car, this Z28. They turned it into a Bust-Ease theme with these very disturbing shirts.
Keeping the Midwestern theme, Stranger Danger and the Ruckus Rangers brought back their Corvair Monza, which is a stock Corvair engine. This thing's awesome. It does not need a theme. They keep bringing awesome themes like this The Last of Us theme that was really well executed. There was also the Flying Pirates Crown Vic with this Starsky and Hutch theme, which was pretty amazing considering they started building the car 2 weeks before the race. They called us on this Friday before tech and said, hey, we're gonna be late. We work at a marina and one of the boats is sinking. That's a new one for us. They still made it. They got the car through tech and it had a Starsky and Hutch theme.
Wait a minute, we're in the Midwest. Is this marina on Lake Michigan or what?
No, they were in St. Louis.
But maybe the king of all the Midwestern cars was the AMC ambassador of the Kenosha Kickers. Now this car is fast, in a straight line. In fact, they're living proof that these giant American boats cannot defy physics and they cannot make a turn. But at least this time, they didn't break. Gus Polanski would be proud.
On the subject of Poco, we had the Polka Kings and their BMW 5 Series. Now, one of the things I love in Lemons is when racers find their own race to have with another team. Now, last fall, the Polka Kings and Dirty Mike and the boys made a bet on who would finish higher. The Polka Kings lost and had to celebrate the superiority of the delinquent-ass Dirty Mike guys. As with most gamblers, the Dirty Mike guys couldn't be satisfied with a win against one team, so they went and they bet Darko that their V8 swapped RX-7 would absolutely clean up on the Viper-powered Rolls Royce. They did not win, and the bet, well, let's just let Darko explain it.
They have to drink moonshine that I've created infused with my bathwater.
Why do the grossest things in Lemons always happen at Gingerman?
I'm really happy. It would be these here. It's like $15. So they're not going to break your bowl. Right. No, they just couldn't get it quick enough for us.
On a much happier subject from Darko's Bathwater Gin are these Johnny Lightning cars. Now, Team Stay in Your Lane, they've got a Honda Civic. One of the guys on the team works for Johnny Lightning, and they have a whole series of Lemons cars available in scale diecast form. The fourth car in the series made its debut at Gingerman. It's a Honda CRX. See if you can spot the Pure Michigan Bride stencil in very tiny form on this car. It'll be available soon.
Moving on to the winners, in peak Midwestern fashion, Ford swept all three classes. Flying Pig's Mustang won overall, Focus Club's Focus finished second, and the Home Fail Motorsports Ford Ranger won Class C. Great job, Ford. We love how you're always looking out for the best interest of Americans.
Heroic Fix went to Legendary. Get it? Acura Legend? Dairy? Now, we've had some sketchy parts chasing in the history of Lemons, and this Acura Legend gets to add to that legacy. They shared a hub on Saturday, and the Legend, as it turns out, shares parts with absolutely nothing else in the world, so finding a replacement was not only hilariously difficult, but also kinda sketchy. Thanks to the power of the internet, the team uncovered a similar Legend languishing in a junkyard in the beautiful city of Gary, Indiana. Now, when I say they found a Legend on the internet in a junkyard, this was not Craigslist or Row 52. It was a cryptic post from some dude on the Legend forum who said, I may or may not know where a car is in a junkyard. They somehow got a hold of this dude. He left them a voicemail that was this rambling thing about you need to be prepared that the junkyard owner is going to lie about the car's existence. He left some very vague instructions, and while he was finishing up on how to get this car, the voicemail cuts off. Now, these are the ingredients to be dragged into an abandoned steel mill and eaten by the mind flare. But somehow, it worked.
I Got Screwed went to Glacial Pace Racing and their Audi. Now, first of all, we love the Slapshot / Hanson Brothers theme, and the car was painted like a hockey puck. That's pretty clever, really. Now, in their previous race, they had blown up the car's original V6, and they did what any sane person would do. They bought an entire V8 Audi for $700 and threw the 4.2-liter V8 in it. And then, a week later, they found someone selling 2 more complete V8 Audis for $1,000. Turns out people are practically giving Audi V8s away for no reason.
Today we're going to be telling you how to replace the timing chain on an Audi V8, and oh my god, why'd they do it this way?
Now, as this was Father's Day, one of the drivers' dads came out to watch them race on Saturday morning. Unfortunately, he was not feeling well and ended up needing to go to the hospital just about the same time that the race started. Now, the dad checked out okay, came back 90 minutes later to have completely missed the Audi's entire race as it blew up 22 laps in. Good news though, they have 2 more Audi V8s to throw at it.
Oh my god, what the f*** are they even doing in here? Look at all this shit.
The special award went to Team Marriage Counseling and their Toyota Matrix. They had a great Bozozoku theme and a team dressed as a bunch of anime characters. Now, this was a perfect representation of the full JDM experience, which works especially well because the Toyota Matrix was made in Fremont, California and never sold in Japan. We love Bozozoku exhaust, but this team determined that it wasn't attached well enough to actually use it on track, so instead they used it to signal their drivers from the pit wall. And as for the anime outfits, this team looked like they had escaped from some anime convention, which of course was not happening, so we gave them this special trophy, the You Came to the Wrong Convention Award.
Judge's choice went to DISG Racing and their Ford Taurus SHO. Now, this SHO has been passed around through 3 or 4 teams over the years, but nobody had bothered retheming it in probably 6 or 7 years. Now, these rookies did, and they absolutely nailed it. Instead of focusing on things like practicing pit stops or worrying about what class they'd end up in or making sure the car runs, they built this.
Organizer's choice went to Vannenball 2023, the Great American Broad Trip, Dodge Caravan. Alright, if you haven't been following our last few wrap-up videos, this idea was the brainchild of Team Captain Jack. I mean Zach. He took his old family minivan, put a roll cage in it, left his home in Kentucky, drove to Thunderhill, raced, drove on the street to High Plains, raced, drove on the street from High Plains to New Jersey, raced, and that was going to be the end of his trip.
Now, New Jersey was the 3rd consecutive weekend after all of this, and as it turns out, we had one more race the next weekend. So I pulled Zach up on stage at the awards ceremony and said, hey, you may as well make it 4 in a row, right? Zach agreed and put the Caravan onto the road, made it to Gingerman, and kind of needless to say, after a month of this whole project, Zach was out of gas, out of patience, and probably out of money when the van finally packed it in on Sunday.
So here are the numbers from this entire van and ball adventure. 4 Lemons races in 4 consecutive weekends, 30 days, 1,700 track miles, over 5,000 highway miles, 16 sets of brake pads, 6 tires, 3 engines, 15 drivers, 900 gallons of gas, 16 states. That kind of stupidity earned him an Org Choice Award and probably a significant number of lost brain cells.
The Halloween Meets Gasoline trophy for the best theme went to Here for the Beer Motorsports and their Mini Cooper. Coming back to Father's Day once again, these guys took the holiday to heart a little more than the rest. Their first race with their Mini Cooper, which they bought on eBay Motors, by the way, was last year, and it had run flawlessly. This time it tossed an accessory belt and, kind of ended the weekend for them. You guys know how that goes. Your Mini gets excited, the belts come loose, things get a little heated, and then, they're all dads.
What?
Right, so they had dressed for the weekend in their best Midwestern dad outfits, complete with fanny packs, had also brought along a riding mower, and they proffered free fatherly advice all weekend to other teams. They were in character the whole time, and even after the car was toast, they hung out all day Sunday in the penalty box to offer fatherly advice to miscreant drivers like stay off the grass, don't be getting dirty, listen to authority figures, and play nice with others. That was hella sweet.
Here's a little Midwest tradition. It's called the Ope Cup. That's Midwestern for excuse me. A few races ago, Team Here for the Beer started this tradition. It's basically like the Stanley Cup. It's a giant beer keg-based thing, and each winner gets to keep it until the next race where it gets passed on to the next winner. At the last race, a team with a Saturn won the Ope Cup, and they brought it back this time, and it was passed on to the Pontiac Firebird of Team Failed Contraception, another dad-themed car. This team was habitually 10 minutes away from getting the car on track, and they kept running into setbacks. Other teams pitched in here and there, but mostly it was this husband and wife team, and they never gave up on the pile, and eventually, after hours and hours, the car, it snuck by you there, onto the track for 16 laps. We give them an A for effort, and we gave them the Ope Cup, which they'll keep until the next race.
That brings us to the Index of Affluency, which went to Wisconsin Crap Racing and their 2011 Suzuki Kizahsi, which is probably the newest car ever to win an IOE, but I'm too lazy to actually attempt to look that up, so we'll just say, yeah, sure, it's that. Now, what is a Kizahsi? Well, the very, very short version, it is a weird, last-gasp attempt by Suzuki to have a car that made some impact on the American car market. Now, the fact you've probably never heard of it tells you exactly how successful it was. We will talk more about this car in a future Lemons World episode.
Most of the members of Wisconsin Crap Racing work at a car dealership, and what happened was this lady with a Kizahsi came to trade in this car on a Camry, and the dealer gave her $100 for the Kizahsi, and they couldn't resell it. It was all toe up, so the only possible remaining solution is to cage it and prep it for lemons and race it instead of their other team car, which is a BMW E36.
Now, they had pretty low expectations for the car. Everyone on the internet, by the way, will tell you the CVT in it is destined to blow up in about 9 laps. So their prep was roll cage, seat, safety equipment, and the most basic brake pads in existence because they figured the car would last about 2 hours. Instead, the CVT just made the engine stick right at not enough power to hurt itself, and it ran all weekend and burned up the brake pads into the tiniest bit of metal that was left over. The complete lack of replacement brake pads kept them out of the top half of the field. It was the only thing that parked them for the weekend. The lesson here, never underestimate the Kizahsi.
And here's Lemons in a nutshell.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?